I don't even know why I have this on. There's not a guest today. It's nothing to listen to. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Y'all know I like to be real. I'm a little salty. Alright? I'm a little salty. Not because, look, I'm happy for Denny. I like Denny. Denny's one of my favorite drivers. But, so, if you guys are in the Daily Downforce Discord, the race reactions chat, I said in there, I had a bet with a friend. A friend who isn't a Larson fan. Matter of fact, he hates Kyle Larson. Mostly just Larson always wins, and his driver is Busher, and Busher never wins. But anyway, Jalen, if you're watching, you know it's true. He said that so Zach Brown Band is my second favorite country artist. Luke Combs is number 1, Zach Brown Band's number 2, Cody Johnson probably number 3. Don't ask who number 4 is, because y'all are going to laugh at me. So, he told me that, hey, if Larson wins, I'll buy you the 124 Zach Brown Band diecast. So I was rooting so hard for that 5 car to win lap after lap. I'm like, come on, do it, do it, do it. Byron was out of the picture. I'm like, oh, we don't got to worry about Byron. Then a couple guys took 2 tires. Of course, Logano took 2 tires. That gave me a scare. I was for real about to crash out on this show if Logano won again. But so close. And I don't know what... I'm going to be real with y'all. I don't know what they put in that 11 car. Like, I don't know what adjustments Chris Gale did to that 11 car on that final stop. But for some reason... No, it's not Sabrina Carpenter, but you're surprisingly close. I don't know what they did with that 11 car, but that thing took off as like a rocket. Like, that thing just went from like a 10th place car to the best car on the track. And I don't know how they did that. I don't know what adjustments Chris Gale did, but that car is definitely going through tech, maybe twice, because there's no way that car was... I was like, how did he get like just... I'm not talking like a little bit quicker. Like, the man had like almost a 2-second lead by the time it was all said and done. What? What? But so close to getting the diecast, especially because it's like the one time, probably in the next 2 or 3 years, Larson isn't going to run a Hendrick Cars car or a Valvoline car. So I'll probably still buy the diecast anyway. I just wanted to get it for free instead of having to pay $80 for a piece of plastic. But that's a rant for another day. Oh, that hurt. That actually hurt a little bit. That actually hurt. We'll talk about sorry about that. We'll talk more about like each playoff driver, which actually, besides 1.5, I'll say 1.5 playoff drivers. You'll see what I mean when I mean by 1.5. Most of the playoff guys had a pretty good day, all things considered. My parents bet Hamlin, Larson, and Bell for the top 3 at the casino. They all got 3 W's. Not bad. Not bad at all. You see, I personally can't bet racing at the casino. Or just in general. Because it's so chaotic. And because everything can change just like that. I mean, look at Byron. He was running top 3, looking good. Looked set to either win the race or finish top 2 or 3. And then DNFs, just like that. It's because racing is so volatile, I can't bet on it. I bet on it one time. That was in 2019. I bet Joey Logano to win the Daytona 500. He finished, I think, 4th. Ever since then, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not betting in racing. I just can't. I can bet on football. I can bet on my Colts to either win the game, have a horrific defense, or both, which both happened today. But I just can't bet on racing because it's too chaotic. My pick for winning this race was Christopher Bell. Mine was William Byron. I was this close to finish. He finished 3rd. I can't bet at the casino either. That's why I get my picks. Are you talking just because you don't want to bet at the casino? Or I'm assuming you're talking like age restriction. Possibly. Because I know it's funny. Like I live in Florida. You can play poker at 18. But you can't do everything else until you're 21. But when I lived in Indiana, it was just straight 21. So it's weird how certain states have... I'm assuming Vegas probably is 18 because, Vegas is, casino heaven. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Funny enough, Vegas, casino. We race at Las Vegas. I can, but I don't want to bet at the casino. That's fair. All right. I'm same here. However, you can play poker way more younger. You talking like you can wait? CB, you can play poker younger than 18? What state are you in? Again, for those of you who don't know, I live in Miami, or I live in Florida. I live about 45 minutes from Homestead Miami Speedway. Literally a 3-year-old here are my... Huh. Oh, okay, so you live in... Okay, hey. That is awesome. Hey. That is actually really cool. That's really interesting. Okay. Well, interesting. And hey, the fact that you're also from Colombia, that's awesome. I did not know that at all. That is really cool. The fact that we got, you see, this is what I love about NASCAR. Like, I love the fact that we just have fans from all over the globe. I've seen, obviously, we got the New Zealand fans that SVG brought. Obviously, you got my man CB here in Colombia watching the sport. Of course, we got the states here as well. You got people from all over the states, like Vegas, Miami, North Carolina, you name it. That is one of the reasons why NASCAR and just sports in general is so great, because you have people from all over the place coming to watch and support. That is awesome. All right, let me not waste any more time, and let's go to breaking down each playoff driver. And thankfully, or I guess not thankfully, actually probably thankfully, because I'm going to be honest, so many guys had good runs that it's going to sound very similar to one another. Denny Hamlin, yes sir, you already know, got the dub, and we're going to jump straight into Denny Hamlin right now. I can't click on it. I don't know what it had to click on, but anyway. So, Denny. Actually, one thing I want to do here is I want to start from the beginning. So, Denny started off the run pretty well. Obviously, he won the pole for the race. He was running kind of, he didn't really look like one of the faster cars. Obviously, you see here, if we go to the leaderboard, only led 9 laps on the day. Of course, he led the 1 lap that mattered, which was at the end. But Denny Hamlin didn't look like he had a fast car. I believe he actually lost the lead on lap 1 to Briscoe, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he still had a really good car. Finished 4th in stage 1, got 7 playoff points. Of course, coming into today, he was the number 1 seed. I think he had an 8-point advantage over the rest of the field. Obviously, now he has a permanent advantage over the rest of the field because he locked himself in already to the championship 4. But it, excuse me. Damn it, hate that Denny won and beat our favorite drivers. He's not winning the championship in Phoenix. I would rather have Chase Briscoe win than Denny or Bell. Denny is due. I think Denny is due. But back to Hamlin. Again, top 5 car, which nowadays, if you want to just be in the mix. What do I mean? You know, we hear people say be in the mix all the time. Like when Byron won the 500 earlier this year from like 8th or 11th because everyone wrecked in front of him. People were trying to say that he was in the mix. Yes, he's technically in the mix, but that's not what we should define as in the mix. I define in the mix as you have top 5 speed. You're within a couple seconds of the leader. That way, if a caution comes out, you can do a little bit of strategy, and that way you can jump everybody, and you have enough pace to hold your own. That is what Denny had today. I mean, look at it. 4th in stage 1. 4th in stage 2. And, of course... Oh, perfect. Okay, so we'll get to that in a minute. But, again, late caution comes out. Takes 4 tires, manages to beat out Larson again. I don't know what adjustments they did on that 11 car, but they were adjustments, all right. Major adjustments. Managed to get it done, and just like I said, had top 5 speed, stayed within a few seconds of the leader. Caution came down, had enough of a car underneath him to where he can afford to do a little bit of different strategy and to where he can hold his own. That's exactly what he did. He beat out Logano, he beat out Briscoe, and most importantly, he beat out Kyle Larson, who had arguably the best car today. Not in that last run, because again, I don't know what they put in that 11 car, but they got the job done. And Denny Hamlin, fun fact, makes his first Final Four since 2021. And this is Denny Hamlin's first Final Four appearance in the next-gen era. He didn't make it in 22, 23, or 24. This is the first time that Hamlin has made the Final Four in the next-gen era. Of course, he gets the 60th career win. If you saw his interview, you saw how emotional he was, of course, with his dad, finally getting that 60th win. A lot of emotion for Hamlin to get back into victory lane. I'm happy for Denny. I like Denny Hamlin. I like his bravado personality. You know, he just doesn't care. He says what he thinks, and that's real. And that's honestly, when Denny Hamlin talks, like, yeah, that's what I believe. And it's like, you know what? If you believe that, then that's real. You can't really get mad at him for that. You may not agree with what everything he says. I personally don't agree with everything Denny says, but at the end of the day, you can't say Denny's fake. Like, let's be honest here. A lot of these drivers are very cookie cutter, but I guarantee you they're not cookie cutter when they're behind the wheel. So, kind of a little bit fake. Denny, he's not like that. The Denny you see is the Denny you get. Unless you have like a split personality behind the wheel, not behind the wheel, like Joey Logano. That's a different story. But congrats to Denny Hamlin. Makes the Final Four. I predicted Denny to make the Final Four, so at least I got one of my Final Four picks correct already. And then we'll see how we go for the rest of the season. Denny Hamlin fan, I know you got a lot here. Let's see what you got. At least Logano didn't win. Exactly. At least that didn't happen. That would have been worse if was it you who put that in the chat? Is it you who put that in the chat in race reactions? Because I saw that in race reactions, and that was crying when I saw that. You got to agree that would have been worse. If Logano won, that would have been much worse. He had more than Red Bull. He had something more than Red Bull. And there were no boos. Surprisingly, I didn't hear a boo in the crowd during his interview. Well, even then, Denny kind of like, sorry, I'm tired. It's been a long day. Denny is a little bit weird. You know, it's like this time, I think because everyone knew how important 60 was to him. I think even probably the PRN or MRN, whoever was doing the track at Vegas, they were probably talking about what this meant for him and for his dad. So there were probably some setup at the track to where people were like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have booed Denny. Kyle Larson. Can we finally shut up about Larson just being nowhere? Look, was up front at the Roval, competed with SVG. He led multiple laps. I think he's led a lap in every playoff race so far. Led the most laps today at Las Vegas. He's probably should have won the race. Led almost 130 laps, 129. Can we stop acting like there's something wrong with the 5 now? Can we stop acting like Kyle Larson's drop-off is like a Jimmy Johnson or Kyle Busch drop-off? Because if Kyle Larson having a slump is him consistently running top 10 and top 5, I will take that as a slump. Because Kyle Larson, second place, over 100 laps led on the day, one stage 2. He finished second in stage 1. A great day for the 5. So can we please shut up about, oh, there's something wrong with Kyle Larson. He's not winning. And Caden, if you're watching this, I'm looking directly at you, considering that Reddick hasn't won, Busch hasn't won, and you're not a real Bell fan. I'm just joking. It's kind of, sort of, not really. But yeah, Larson, I did not have Larson making the Final Four. I thought that Larson, I say all that and just say that I thought Larson was maybe a little too inconsistent. You know, I think Chase was more consistent when I made the predictions. I thought Byron was a little more consistent. I thought Denny had the speed. And then, of course, I thought Blaney was just going to be fast. So, Larson is fast, but Larson is at his best when he's fast and he takes what he can get. You know, if he's got a race-winning car, he'll take it. If he's got a race-winning car, but circumstances fall away where he doesn't win and he has to settle for another result, he'll take it. Case in point here. Because there are times we know throughout years or during races where if Kyle Larson, he has a fast car, he'll overdrive it. Instead of driving at 100%, he'll drive at 110, and then he crashes and finishes 17th or DNFs. We know that's what Larson likes to do. So the fact that Larson just settled for what he had, again, a win would have been better. I would have rather had to win because, again, free diecast. But the fact that Larson took what he can get, that's when Larson is at his best. Because that's when he's at his most dangerous. Because it's like, oh, that's when he starts top 5ing everyone to death. Top 10ing everyone to death. And that's when the wins finally start to fall in place. So Larson, not the win. He probably would have preferred to win, but he takes what he can get at the end of the day. Bell in third. I've been saying it for the past few weeks now that this is the Bell I've been waiting to see. Ever since he won Bristol, we've been finally seeing the 20 team be where they are supposed to be, running up front. And I'm not just talking 10th or 9th. That's why I say average finish is overrated, because I don't care if you can finish 10th every week. If you can't run top 5 or win, I don't give a damn that you can run 9th. This is the Bell I want to see. The Bell that can run top 5. The Bell that can compete for the lead. The Bell that is a threat. And that is the Christopher Bell that has shown up ever since he won at Bristol. This is the Christopher Bell I've been waiting to see. This is the Bell that disappeared from Phoenix in March to Bristol. We finally have this Bell back. He's been running top 5 more. He's been running up front more. He's been competing for wins more. So the fact that, again, a third place result, I didn't have Bell making the Final Four either, because, again, he just didn't look like he could get it done. But third place result, another good run for Bell, and we'll see when we get to the playoff standings again where things are lining up. Briscoe in fourth, two-tire strategy. He didn't have the speed to compete with the 5, the 11, or the 20, so he had to try something different, kind of like Logano. These two were... Briscoe was better than Logano. He was at least running top 5, top 6 all day long. Logano was running it just outside the top 10, if not just inside the top 10. But both of them had the same mindset. We got to do something different. If we want to beat the 11, if we want to beat the 5, if we want to lock ourselves into Phoenix, we have to do something different. So I can't blame them for this kind of strategy. It worked more out for Briscoe just from the point situation, but Logano, it didn't really do anything as we get into the standings. But, again, as the title says, did Joey Logano win the race to steal a Final Four spot again? No, we didn't. As we'll take a look at the playoff standings, he's going to really wish that he did. But can't blame Briscoe, can't blame Logano, because, again, you're trying to block yourself into Phoenix. You see what that did for Denny. They wanted to be in Denny where Denny is right now, so you can't really blame them. And we got to scroll pretty good ways down until we get to our next driver. But before we do, let's see what we got here in the chat. If Logano makes a Final Four in an odd number year, yeah, I will write the 10-day invite. Please send a video in the chat for that. I will post that. This is one heck of a slump for Lars. That's what, bro. Rajik, that's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. If he gets nothing but top 5s the rest of the season, I'm good with it, barring Logano shenanigans. Exactly. We just ran into Ty Dillon. It literally makes us a bunch of buffoons. It's just completely ridiculous. We'll get to Byron in a second. Nas Chevy. That's fire name, by the way. This is the Christopher Bell that we all want. Exactly. Chase Elliott. I mean, Chase I don't know. I don't remember too much for what Chase did today. Like, I know he was running top 10, but I don't remember seeing him much in the top 5. If not, just for a few sprints here and there. I know he had like a top 10 car, and he kind of stayed in the top 10. I know he had a pit road speeding violation, and he kind of got mired in the back because of that. And he was never really able to recover after that because he went a lap down. He had to get the lap back. It was just a bad day for Chase Elliott overall. I had Chase Elliott making the Final Four because, again, going into the playoffs when I made my predictions, this is when Chase was like on a consistent top 5, top 10 run. So I'm thinking he's going to continue this because this is Chase Elliott. This is what he's done really ever since the Next Gen era began. But then during the playoffs, that 9 team just completely disappeared. No speed whatsoever. Feels like nothing went their way until they eventually won Kansas, which they did. But they almost got bounced in the round of 16. Looked like they were going to get bounced in the round of 12 again before that Kansas win. So 18th for Chase. You'd like to see a little more out of the 9. Vegas is one of his better mile-and-a-half tracks. And the fact that he didn't really show up. Of course, he got penalized, so that doesn't help at all. But, not looking good for my Chase making the Final Four prediction. And then we got to get to these guys at the bottom. We'll start off with William Byron. Just what a... Honestly, I mean, Nash Chevy said it best. I mean, I don't know if it was Ty Dillon needed to put his hand out or Byron just needed to be more aware or the spotter should have communicated differently. It's a communication issue regardless. Why Byron ended up 36 DNF, 32 laps behind. But that was a disaster for Byron, especially because if everything went the right way, Byron would probably finish top 3. He would have been in the mix here, maybe would have even won the race, but because, again, whether he was saying that, oh, Ty didn't give any indication. When I saw that, I immediately thought, why didn't the spotter say anything? I mean, look, should Ty maybe put his hand out to let Byron know, hey, I'm coming down pit road? Maybe, but, you know, if you're Ty Dillon, you're just worried about hitting your marks, getting off pit road, not speeding, all that stuff. So that is what Ty is more worried about than anything. That is up to the spotters. That is up to Byron spotter and Ty Dillon spotter to communicate with each other so that Byron spotter can tell Byron, hey, that 10 car is coming down pit road. Don't run in the back of him. I blame the spotters more than I blame Byron or Ty Dillon. Something was not communicated properly between the two, and because of that, Byron ended up with a DNF and also Ty Dillon as well. But it could have been worse for Byron. He got a ton of stage points. He won stage 1, finished second in stage 2. So it could have been worse for Byron. He got a good chunk of stage points out of it at the end of the day to where he at least came away with something. He's not like in a 30-point hole like Blaney is, which Blaney, he just never really had a shot. Cut a tire, hit the wall. They tried to salvage it, but of course it wasn't going to be salvaged. Even Blaney knew that. He got out of the car and he's like, yeah, we're done here. It's just over. A nasty hit. You never want to see one of those hits where you just shoot up the track in any of the corners. It is just a bad, raging. Like you said, he's going for a Barry round of 16 run today. Hopefully not, because Blaney, I had him making the Final Four. As I had William, I had these two making the Final Four. Now, both of them are probably going to have to win either Talladega and Martinsville for my prediction to be correct. And then Elliott's got to find a way to show speed again. But, yeah, I mean, Blaney just, he never really had the opportunity. He was running, I think, somewhere inside the top 10, I believe, before that incident happened. But it was so early in the race, you never knew where everything could have shaken out. So, Blaney, missed opportunity. Luckily for him, he's got two good tracks coming up at Talladega and Martinsville. He's won both of them in the past. He won the fall Martinsville race the last 2 years in a row. So a good chance for the 12 to make the playoff, to make the Final Four. And the 24, I don't think he's ever won at Talladega, but he's won at Martinsville before. So some good tracks for the two, but again, missed opportunities. We'll go to the playoff standings in a moment. Back-to-back races where there was a lack of communication between driver and spotter. Exactly. I don't know if this is a trend that they're trying between drivers and spotters, but that's a trend they need to stop. Like, now. Logano was still good at Talladega and Martinsville. Anything could happen. Let us hope and pray nothing happens. All right? Don't bring that in the universe, Raging. Don't bring that in the universe. Let's move on to the playoff standings. Of course, Hamlin locks himself in. Larson with a great points day, plus 35, as is Bell, plus 20. Wow. How about that? If this were to stand, the only Final Four driver I'd have correct is Hamlin. Because I had Hamlin, Byron, Elliott, and Blaney all making the Final Four. And right now, Byron is minus... I'm surprised he's only minus 15, honestly. Chase is minus 23 because Chase is just not fast. Logano minus 24. I mean, that's what happens when you come into the round minus, I think, 22. And then Blaney, of course, had the DNF. So, right now, I mean, of course, Talladega, anything can happen. Nothing is set in stone. But Larson is looking good. Bell is looking good. Briscoe is looking solid. Really, Talladega is a wild card. Everyone knows that. So, I mean, Larson has been getting a lot better at super speedway racing as of late. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if he won Talladega. I'd be a little bit surprised, but I wouldn't be completely shocked if the 5-car won at Talladega. Bell, he's an okay plate racer, but not the best in the world, even though he won at Atlanta earlier this year. Briscoe, not really a plate guy. These three are mostly going to be hoping they can survive Talladega, and then they can really do their damage at Martinsville. Byron is a good plate racer. Chase has won at Talladega multiple times, including one time in the Next Gen era. Joey, if he decides to be Joey Logano and not Joey Logano, he'll be a threat at Talladega, and then Blaney's always a threat at Talladega. But I feel like everyone here is just hoping that they can have a good day at Talladega, and then they can really make their mark at Martinsville. If you had to ask me, I think the biggest threats at Talladega will be Elliott, Logano, and Blaney. That's just me personally. Larson will be in the mix as well. Hamlin is locked in. He doesn't have to worry about anything. Bell and Briscoe, I think, are going to struggle. And then Byron, hit or miss at plate tracks. So there we go. That is our round of 8 opener review. And where things stand, thank God NASCAR has this, by the way, where things stand after Las Vegas. But speaking of Las Vegas, let's move on to race weekend rankings. So we got 2 races to rank this time, just Xfinity and Cup. I'll put Xfinity at number 2. I thought the Xfinity race, I actually got to see most of the Xfinity race this time, and I thought it was a very good race. You know, Almirola and Zillage battling it out. That was very fun to see. I can't remember exactly. I think Jesse Love was in the mix as well. That was really fun. Just a nice trio battle throughout. You had 2 guys trying to make the Final Four in the Xfinity Series. Almirola trying to do it on the owner side and, of course, get another win. So that was always fun to see. So seeing that, it was a very good race overall. It had its moments, and it was a fun race. I can't say it wasn't. I'll put the Cup race at number 1. I think both of these are pretty similar. They're both very good races. I don't think they were, spoiler alert, I wouldn't say they're necessarily A tier, but very, very good races. Of course, you had the moments in the Cup race. Of course, you had like Byron. If you want your wrecks, you got your Byron wreck. You had your Ty Gibbs, just big one after Bell just tried to go for a hole that didn't exist. And then, of course, you had the battles at the end, of course, between Larson, Hamlin, Logano, Briscoe. You had everyone in the mix as well. So a very good race at Las Vegas, all things considered. So I'll put it at number 1. But again, both of these are very close, as you'll see when we go here to the 2025 tier. The Xfinity race was so boring. However, the only thing remarkable from now race was Jesse Love confronting Nick Sanchez. I forgot about that. So overall, I think both of them are solid B races. I'm going to be honest. I think both of them are solid B races. I will probably put both of them at the top of B tier. I think this was as close to this is the definition of a B tier race. Very good, very solid. Doesn't blow me away, but I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. And this should be up here. So, I don't have much more to say. I mean, yeah, I think these are top B tier. I don't think they're A tier. I definitely don't think they're S tier, but I don't think that they should be in the middle to bottom of B tier or C or below. I feel very confident about having this in the top of B tier. But that's just my opinion. This is the 2025 race weekend ranking so far. It is long, it is big, and we have only 3 more weeks of race weekend rankings to go. Back-to-back races where there was a lack of communication between driver and spotter. Oh, I guess that previous comment about the Xfinity Series went away. So, other than that, it's going to be a pretty quick show, all things considered. I got nothing more to say. Unless you guys have something more to say. I'm going to call it a wrap after that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. And before we go, please, for me, like this video, like this stream, and subscribe to the Daily Downforce YouTube channel. That helps me out a ton. Check out dailydownforce.com for all sorts of great content over there. I got a surprise for you guys. It's a guest who's going to come on in a couple weeks. I'm going to see if I can reveal it, or when I can reveal it. I'm going to try to reveal it to the Daily Downforce Discord, which, by the way, we do have to look at the polls. We do have to look at the polls here. Why is Discord not functioning? No. You see, Raging, I'm trying to do a better job at that, all right? No, we're doing the polls. You see, right here, right there. You see it. It's right there. Was the Xfinity race in Vegas? You can't talk anything now. You talking about, wait, because I put a poll already. Yeah, so was the Xfinity, okay, we'll get to that in a second. Was the Xfinity race at Vegas above or below the cut line? 6 of you voted, 67% voted for above, including myself. 33% voted for on, which is in the middle, and then 0 said it was below the cut line. Yeah, I could agree with that. And then as for the Cup Series, was the Cup, will Hamlin hit 70? No, I don't think he's got enough time for that. Was the Cup race at Vegas above or below the cut line? 11 votes so far. I posted that about less than an hour ago. 91% voted for above, 9% voted for on, it's just 1 vote, and then 0% voted for below. So that is where we at. That is where we are at with the race weekend rankings poll. When you talk too fast, like your words just jumble all together and you trip on your own words. I wrote it just as you mentioned it on stream. Did you post it already? I mean, we'll show it anyway. Seeing some anime stuff. Fun fact: I'm about to finish Demon Slayer. Only got the Hashira training arc to go, and then I already saw Infinity Castle. Phenomenal movie, by the way. But yeah, so there we go. If you guys want to vote on these polls as well, all you have to do is just join the Daily Downforce Discord and then go into the race reactions chat. And then after every race, I or Raging Knuckles or someone there in the Discord will post our above or below the cut line poll for every race. So if you guys want to join in on the fun as well, head over to the Daily Downforce Discord and then we have race reactions and you'll be able to vote as well. But now it's time to go. So I'll say the outro again really quick. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, before we go, please like this stream and subscribe to the Daily Downforce YouTube channel. That helps me out a ton. Check out dailydownforce.com for all sorts of great content over there. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, I have something that I'm working on announcing for you guys. It's going to be a guest coming up in the next few weeks for the Cutline. I'm hoping I can announce it soon. I'm going to try to announce it to the Discord first before I announce it to everyone out there in the coming weeks. But I'll probably find out more about Martinsville. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week for Talladega.